What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Please follow my Instagram at RussoLifts, just in case something happens to this YouTube channel. You can follow, message, and you can watch my daily story content on Instagram. I'll see you there. What's up, everyone? It's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well with Jack and Johnny.
What's good?
P-Way, baby.
We are in Jack's room, and I've just been sniffing this trend around here, but you know, we really need to set this straight. So all these guys do the bullshit clout videos of Natty or not, and when I decided I was going to collab with Jack, a lot of you guys messaged me like, Russo, don't be fucking around with that fake Natty.
That hurts.
Fake Natty this, like, wow, Russo, you're playing around with a fake Natty. So I never really thought Jack was a fake Natty. Maybe it's because that I had a best friend that had genetics similar to Jack, but the thing is, I'm a nail it in the coffin. He has his blood work before he applied for TRT. So I can see the way some of you think like, oh, you know, the pressure was on Jack, and Jack's like, I'm on TRT, leave me alone. But here, this video is going to prove that he was natural. So I have his blood work of when he applied for testosterone replacement therapy, and I'm going to go through it very quickly. It's disgusting he was natty. So Jack, when I look at your old pictures, which I'm going to throw them up now, no offense, but it literally looks like you made linear progress because this is from 2017, and your physique, I mean, it's still very significant. It's not like you exploded into the current physique you have now.
Yeah,
like, when did you start lifting, and like what weight were you when you were in high school going into the Marine Corps?
Okay, so I didn't start lifting seriously. I'd say seriously in the sense of I was going like 5-6 days a week, training hard, eating right, what I thought was eating right back then. But I really got into it like my first year in the Marine Corps, so 2014. And then I picked it up, and I just was like lifting with dudes that kind of knew their shit, and we just took it from there, and then I just never stopped. So I've been training for real since 2014.
So what age did you start training?
19.
18,
19.
And you're 26 now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm throwing up these pictures right now as he's talking, but it's extremely linear progress. Normally when you would see a fake natty, it would be like, you know, this guy looks like nothing. Year and a half later, you know, delts are popping, traps are popping. Yeah, like you had the baseline physique and just slowly trickle natty added on muscle over the course of your career.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's like it didn't happen overnight. That's the other thing is people see pictures of me all the time, especially because like I haven't really been doing social media for that long. It's like I'm 26. Like, I've been lifting pretty religiously for 8 years. Like, it definitely didn't happen in fucking, like, 2 seconds, you know?
Right. And you have a lot of size on you, dude. Like, they don't realize that. You're not a super shredded guy.
I've never been super shredded.
Like,
never in my life been super shredded. Because when I was in the Marine Corps, there's no such thing as sticking on program in the Marine Corps because everything is always fucking changing. So it's like, if I could go to the gym that day, you bet your ass I was going to go to the gym. I was going to train hard. But like, as for diet, bro, my diet was eat as much as I possibly can when I can because I want to get big, you know? Yeah. And that, like, trying to balance training weights in the evening at like 8 o'clock at night with all the Marine Corps bullshit, having to wake up in the morning and get slayed, a lot of cardio, a lot of running, like, I put out when I was in the Marine Corps. I put out, I promise you.
It shows.
That shit.
Alright, so I'm going to just cut straight to the facts here, right? I have his blood work for when he applied to TRT, and I'm not going to go into the specific clinic that he applied for TRT because reading this blood work, I don't think you should have gotten approved for TRT. And this blood work just straight up proves, like, I don't know how you could have this blood work because you wouldn't just take one cycle and create your physique. Like, if you were the fake natty that you're made out by some people to be, you would have to, like, do constant cycles. So there's no way you can maintain this blood work. So right off the bat, your testosterone was 657 at 26 years old, and you did not fast for this blood work either.
No.
Why did you not fast?
Because I don't know.
Yeah, so it probably was even higher than that.
I was trying to crash my test. So.
So you're trying to crash your test.
I was, yeah.
Okay.
So it's probably been higher, yeah.
So we move into cholesterol, right? His cholesterol, his good cholesterol, HDL, was 60. So to put that in perspective, last time I got my blood work pulled after abusing steroids for as long as I did, I think my cholesterol, my HDL was like 17. So when you look at people who do testosterone replacement therapy, it's extremely difficult to get your HDL above 40, virtually impossible. So the highest I've ever seen someone's HDL personally on TRT, unless they're doing metformin, unless they're doing all these cholesterol drugs, which you probably don't even know any of that shit, you know, you can get to like 40 max. 60 is virtually impossible. So he had 60 HDL. I've never seen anyone who's on TRT have a 60 HDL. And I have, like, ever since I started Sarms, I could never get my HDL above 40. And normally when I get my blood work pulled, it's around 30. So your cholesterol automatically gets skewed. I personally think that alone proves that you are natural. And I would honestly like you to pull your blood work now that you're on TRT to see where your cholesterol is at, because I guarantee it got worse.
Yeah.
Like there's no way.
I'm getting my blood pulled literally next week. It's been like 2 months since I've been on TRT. I just want to get like a baseline now and see what's changed. So yeah, I'm excited to do that.
Your IGF-1 was 260, which is not indicative of growth hormone or IGF-1 abuse, but it is on the higher end, which is probably why you have so much hyperplasia permanent muscle, because I think when I was natural, my IGF was closer to like 180, so that's a genetic factor that played in your cards. And then going back into his testosterone, or going back into his cholesterol one more time, his LDL, so his bad cholesterol, was only 48. So every time you inject steroids, you are injecting cholesterol into yourself. So you're constantly raising your LDL. So you're constantly ruining your HDL. Think of your HDL as the sweepers in your artery that sweep up all the bad cholesterol. The LDL is the cholesterol that sticks to your arteries and causes high blood pressure and progresses heart disease. So you're injecting steroids, you're injecting LDL essentially, which is lowering HDL over time. So you had extremely good LDL and extremely good HDL to apply for TRT with 700 testosterone, which you were trying to crash. This is elite level genetic blood work, right? So I hate that he gets blamed like this, because I have friends who are natural who have better physiques than me, better physiques that can be achieved without drugs at all. It really comes down to genetic predisposition, and Jack doesn't know who his father is, right? You don't know the genetics that were achieved by your father that were passed down.
Yeah, I don't personally know my biological father. Like, never was in the picture, so like I don't have a huge baseline to go off of. So I just was like lifting and vibing and like, okay, well, I guess I got decent genetics.
Yeah, you can definitely tell you got genetics going on your side.
Well, the thing about your genetics, right, you could never, in my opinion, compete in classic physique. Like, you have more of like a blocky physique, and like if you were to not do TRT, if you were to go down the rabbit hole of abusing a bunch of shit, like, you have the genetic potential to be a very good open bodybuilder. Whereas if I would try to be an open bodybuilder, like, I'm competing against your starting point. So like I would have to sauce to get to your starting point. Whereas your starting point is so much farther ahead, to where like I would rather want to do classic physique because you can't get down to that weight.
Yeah.
So it's just like different when you think about that. But it like bothers me because when you look at the people on TikTok taking Sarms, when you look at, you know, all the fake natties out there, like, there are certain people who can achieve significant physiques. Like, not every physique that looks good means they're using stuff.
Yeah, that's, I mean, the whole, like, fake natty thing, that shit really doesn't bug me. Like, it doesn't bother me at the end of the day. It never has. I'm like, okay, like, I'm not going to change someone's opinion, so why press the issue?
Well, I mean, you can't have 61 HDL.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
but it just
impossible.
bugs me because, like, I'm like, I tell everyone, I'm like, bro, I keep it straight up on my YouTube. If you want to know anything about me, just watch my YouTube, and I keep it straight up. So when people don't believe me, I'm like, all right, well, that kind of sucks, but whatever.
So you didn't have the blood work to be approved for TRT. We're not going to go into which.
That's beyond the point.
Yeah.
That's beyond the point.
But
forget about that.
But let's say you did get approved for TRT, and this is a TRT clinic, which you have talked to me behind the scenes, which you can trust me. What has been the difference since you've jumped on TRT that you've noticed? Because you had like, if you were trying to crash your test on that blood work, you probably had closer to like 800, 900 if you were fasted, honestly.
Okay.
Like if you were like eating like shit and doing all that stuff and you didn't even come into the blood work fasted, you probably had even higher testosterone and even better cholesterol than the current blood work you were doing to try and trick the TRT clinic.
Yeah.
So what differences have you felt since jumping on TRT? Because in my opinion, TRT, like you're probably making around 800, 900 if you're injecting 250 milligrams a week, right? 200. So 200 puts you around. So you went from 800, 900 natural to like 1100 to 1300 max,
like
depending how you did. So it's really not that big of a bump. The only difference would be is that your natural testosterone spikes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like with your TRT, even if you're stressed out, even if you don't sleep, like it's still that
don't sleep.
Still that constant androgen level.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you noticed since jumping on TRT?
Yeah, I wasn't like, I went into it and I was like I don't think this is gonna be something too overbearing. Like I was just looking for something small. Like that was the goal because I just wanted to see how I felt on like a really small dose of TRT. And I guess 2 months in, obviously the pumps have been outrageous. Like I get really good pumps. I recover a little bit better for the way I'm training for sure. I can notice that. And he's right. My sleep is kind of fucked, but I've always like had sleeping issues. Even when I was in the Marine Corps, before I was on any sort of TRT or any PED ever, I had bad sleeping issues. So
is that just from like when they wake you up in the Marine Corps at whatever
our
time?
sleeping schedules are always changing, and like a lot of people develop sleep apnea and insomnia when they're in the Marine Corps or in the service at all because your schedule's just always so fucked. Like it's but yeah, so I feel pretty good even if I get like a bad night's sleep. I'm good to go. What else? Let me think. I definitely noticed the weight retention though, because when I started TRT, I also started my cut, which not like the most optimal thing to do, right, when you get on TRT. But that was like, that was my plan, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to stick to it. And I was definitely in a deficit for the first month I was on TRT, and then I gained weight. I was like I started at 228, was in my deficit, pretty aggressive deficit, and I like a month later I weighed in at 235. And so then, I don't know.
Are you taking an anti-estrogen?
I'm taking the TRT, Carnitine, and then just metformin.
Okay, so you're not adding in any anti-estrogens. I think you should get it pulled while you're on TRT, and then we could compare like, okay, your cholesterol went to shit, your estrogen went up, and then we could talk about, because I just looked at your luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, which people can say, well, Jack cheated this blood work. Jack used Clomid, which is synthetic LH, which your LH and FSH are like perfectly in the middle. Like if I wanted to cheat natural testosterone blood work, I would take a fuck ton of Clomid, and my LH reading and FSH reading would read through the roof. Which it doesn't, which proves you're natural once again. That's
funny. It's because like that's a whole, like I've had this blood work for a while. I've been sitting on it for like 2 months, and at first I was gonna make a video on it, but then I was like, first of all, I don't care that much at the end of the day what people think, and two, I was like, you can fake blood work to a certain degree, and I just knew that like there's always gonna be someone out there that's like, oh, you faked that shit.
Well, it looks like you tried to like your blood glucose was like 100. Your blood glucose is supposed to be like below 80. Yeah, like that means you binge carbs right before this.
I think I went to like Snappers and got like like a burger, and like I ate such a bad meal.
So like you were trying to crash it.
I was, yeah,
and that should have impacted your cholesterol in a negative way too. Eating that right before. So, I just like, for me, this video is going to put the nail in the coffin. I really don't. I can see, like, people being suspect with you because, I mean, you have a significant physique, but, like, my best friend was, like, 240 in high school.
That's the thing.
And he didn't know one fucking thing about steroids.
Well, dude, and then, like, we work out, like...
That's a big reason why I never touched PEDs throughout my whole time when I was in the Marine Corps for those 5 years when I was learning how to train. One, I was undereducated for sure, and two, you can't really do it in the Marine Corps. It's a very gray area. Like,
right.
You get in a lot
Isn't
of
like
trouble.
certain... Because I have a ton of military people who message me take shit.
You can, but it's like a gray area. It's like if someone wanted to fuck up your day and they were like, you're on PEDs, they could find a way to like get you in trouble for that, for sure.
Yeah.
But I knew dudes that were taking when I was in, and it's like, if you kind of are doing what you're supposed to do and not causing any problems, no one's really going to bust your balls for it at the end of the day. I just never did because I was like, fuck that. Like,
And it's like, you blew up very quickly. It's
in
like,
social media.
In social media. But like, you're not, from my conversation with you yesterday off camera, you're not wanting to be a bodybuilder. Like, you're just doing your thing on social media.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a viewer coming in like, oh, this guy wants to be a bodybuilder and he's faking Natty for as long as he can. Like, when in reality, like, you're just like chilling, doing whatever you want, smoking weed before your workouts, and like, it's not really like, you don't have aspirations to like juice up and step on stage. Like, that's not the path you want to go down based on the conversation I had with you yesterday.
Yeah, it's just like, simply put, it's just never been something that I'm super into. Like, I think bodybuilders are dope. Like, I like watching the sport. I think they're obviously, I have huge amounts of respect for the discipline and like everything it takes to become a bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not my vibe. And like, I just like working out. I want to have a good physique and I want to do fun shit, smoke weed, and enjoy myself. Like, maybe have a burger every now and then.
Yeah,
not have to
like,
trip about it. But that's just me. Huge amount of respect for bodybuilders, but I don't want to compete. I never really wanted to.
What would be your input to like, you know, the 17-year-old do you even lift guy who's behind the keyboard, who thinks like anyone with your type of physique, like they have worse genetics and like they see you and they think you're lying, or like because they can't get there, or they think, because I've seen guys completely transform. Like, they'll go in the gym and they think they can't build a physique naturally. 2 years later, if they actually go in the gym and do what they're fucking supposed to, they build a pretty significant physique naturally. Like, what would you tell that person?
The haters, what would I tell them? I honestly, most of the time, it really doesn't faze me. Like, I was like, people are going to say whatever they want at the end of the day. I just laugh when I get those comments where people are like, oh, fucking Trent. I was like, how, like, that's like the first thing you think if someone's big is Trent. I was like, that just shows how undereducated people are. So
that's just
so we can check if he's on trend. So
Dude,
trend is like, when you take trend, just imagine shoving knives through your kidneys.
Oh fuck.
So it's so kidney toxic. There's no way to mitigate kidney toxicity, and then the kidney damage, it sneaks up on you. So your kidneys aren't going to present any problems until they're operating around 20% capacity. So until they get to 20%, you will not notice. And then like,
then you're at 20%.
Then you're approaching stage 2 kidney failure. And then if you're addicted to trend, like it's really hard to correct. And then it's mostly looking like a kidney transplant. But when I go and look at your creatinine level, yeah, it's completely in the middle of the range. Like, it is no indicative of trend at all.
Yeah.
No, we wouldn't touch that shit.
Fuck it. I was like, me getting on...
Your bun was completely in range. Creatinine completely in range. EGFR completely in range. Yeah, no trend at all. When I took trend, it, like, you know how like it has green or red on the Bloodwork? It was just like all red. I was like, oh, it's time to stop.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, the haters, like, I just think that's...
I
think it's people just being lazy at the end of the day. That's always my thought on it. It's like, when you have someone that sees a physique and the first thing they do is shoot out hate, first of all, that tells me everything I need to know about that, like, person as an individual, so that's beyond the point. Like, they're just, I don't know. It's
but nowadays, in the days of society, right, the clout has fucked up everyone's minds, let's be honest here. And like, they see like the attention your physique gets, and they want to get that type of attention, but they think they have to take steroids. Like, what would you say? Like, my opinion would be like, if you can't rep 315 on bench, if you can't squat 405 for reps on squat, and like deadlift like over 500, like, should you really think about PDs? Because you don't want to juice up just to get to what an elite natty can do, and then you have to even take even more to progress farther. So how long did it take for you to? I mean, let's pull up these pictures. These are from 2017. So how long in the gym? It looks like you're a hyper responder lifter. How long did it take to get your baseline strength and shit?
My baseline strength and shit. Okay. Damn. Yeah, I responded well in the gym. When I really started lifting.
What sports did you play in high school?
I played football.
Okay.
My dad, the man who raised me, he was the coach. So I kind of lifted in high school, but it was just for football, go in and do some squats and get ready for the game. I did not know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I hit the Marine Corps, dude, it's so hard to say. I wish that I had more pictures from back then, but I didn't blow up really big. When I first started putting on weight, I put on a lot of weight, but I definitely dirty bulked in a sense because that's all I could do when I was in the Marine Corps is eat as much as I can and just train because we were always training. So I blew up really big, but I didn't get my muscles didn't harden over time. It was a 5-year process. I'd say I looked my best in the Marine Corps after 4 years of training.
Right. Another thing I'll elaborate on is you have what's called virgin muscles, and when you're in the boy phase of your life, until 24 or 23, you have what's called virgin muscles most likely, and then your muscles mature and densify as you continue your lifting career if you're constantly being consistent. So you don't really have virgin muscles anymore, where back then I see you have virgin muscles.
Yeah, and that was I started lifting in 2014. That was 3 years later too.
Mm-hmm.
That was 3 years later after lifting. So it wasn't crazy. I definitely got the baby gain stage where I put on a bunch of size in 6 months when I was in the Marine Corps, and that's probably what got me hooked to lifting. I'm damn.
That gets everyone.
I was watching. I was watching.
Well, the guys must be, bro, Russo, I'm gonna pass you up. They're in that phase where you're just skating all the time.
Bro, I was saying that shit to Fred when I first started. My boy was
pass you up, man. I'm just wait for a year of lifting, man. He's gonna go, whoop.
That's so fucking
real.
True,
Then everything just starts coming slower. But I put this I don't ever try and brag anything up that I do or anything, but I promise you I trained hard when I was in the Marine Corps. I was on that CT Fletcher Mike Rashid shit. Those were the YouTube videos I was watching, and everyone knows how they're training. So I was in there trying to kill myself, probably not training as optimally as I could, obviously, because I just didn't know, but I was definitely getting the job done, and I was trying to put on size for 5 years.
You had some sort of guidance, right? That one guy?
Yeah, I mean,
that helps,
just I had a dude that lifted. I wasn't going into lifting completely blind on my own. I kind of knew what I was doing, and then I had someone who'd been lifting for a couple years, and he showed me the ropes. He's a big boy. Shout out Lance Lewis.
Yeah, no, that helps.
He was huge. He was a big boy.
Yeah,
and I trained with him for the first 2 years I was in.
Yeah, I wish I had that right away. That helps a lot.
All right, to wrap this up, I think the moral of the story is put some respect on Jack. He's 26 years old. Looking at these pictures, it was linearly built, and it wasn't I knew even though you said you went on TRT, there's so many other fake natties that use that as the scapegoat nowadays. Oh, I'm half natty. I'm taking TRT right now. I'm half natty.
There's no such thing as half natty.
And they say you're either natural or you're fucking unnatural.
If you're on TRT, you're not natural.
No.
I hate when they try to make it medically. I'm on a medication. TRT, bro. There's a guy that tried doing that. It's bro, just you're on steroids.
Just say it for what it is, bro. I don't get what the big deal is.
People don't really know what TRT is sometimes. Fred didn't really know what TRT was. He was always just on TRT.
I have steroids. Guys that say they're on TRT and then you pull their bloods and they're actually on 600.
Bro, it's
So
TRT 600 milligrams. TRT. Yeah.
And they say that because they can get away with it.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story is put some respect on Jack's linear progress. Looking through his pictures, he just linearly gained all the time, and then he shouldn't have got approved for TRT. It happened anyways, but even though he's trying to crash his blood work, I mean, his cholesterol was perfect, kidneys were perfect, and his testosterone was 700 after binging on burgers and shit and not sleeping right. So, yeah, there are genetic freaks out there. Just because you don't have that genetic... everyone should be focused on their own path, their own journey, versus oh, I want to look exactly like Jack by this age, I'm going to be... No, it doesn't work that way.
Dude,
and that's one thing that I want to be able to explain to people on a mat. Like, it's crazy to me. It's like, so many people will be like, I just want to know if I can achieve this naturally. Like, are you naturally? I'm like, yes, you're probably not going to be able to achieve that naturally. There's no way. One, because you're probably not going to train the way I did for 8 years naturally. And
you had no days off during those 8 years.
I got just one day.
It's like 2 days off a week tops. Like I've been, if I could.
Yeah, so you didn't have like months in and out of the gym. Like, you're like, this is my life.
No. I've never had like a period where I took a month off the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not even on my radar, unless I was like on a field op training, which rarely happened when I was in the Marine Corps.
Instagram just normalized people like you. Like, you're not normal. Go to your LA Fitness and compare yourself to those guys, or like any other gym. Then you'll be like, okay, like, I'm making progress. But when you go on Instagram and all you see is the most elite of the elites with like good angles and good pumps, you're always gonna think you have shitty genetics. Yeah. Like, stop comparing yourself.
When people are like, I want to know if I can achieve that naturally. I'm like, everyone has different like everyone has different potential. Everyone has. It's tough to say.
Like DK Metcalf.
Like, we can look at Jack's real father, right? He might have had low myostatin, so he passed that on to Jack. So Jack's just, as a natural, gonna be able to hold and gain more muscle easier than, say, someone with higher myostatin. Like, you really have to play the cards you're dealt. Sure, when you get into like, with my biohacking knowledge, I could even out everything as far as our genetic differences pretty much. But then that becomes deteriorating health on me trying to get to an open. Because if he did juice, he would definitely be an open bodybuilder. But
I couldn't go classic.
I
don't have the waist for it, but I'm trying so hard right now to slim down my waist, and I'm just such a thick dude down there naturally.
Just go for the big Rammy look.
Yeah, I'm coming for you, big Rammy.
No.
Alright, guys, but this video is a nail in the coffin. He was for sure natural up to the point he said he took TRT. There was no line. This was not the scapegoat to be like, oh, I'm getting too much heat. Now I'm going to just say TRT so you all shut the fuck up. Like, the blood work is on the video. Read it. It like, I have never seen someone with 60 HDL on tests, and I've read blood work since I was 18 years old. So, yeah, if you're taking tests, your cholesterol is at least, your good cholesterol, the max I've ever seen is like 42 and good cholesterol, and you're at 61 after eating burgers. So, alright guys, I'll see you in my next video.
Later, boys.
See ya.